Talk of peace and the wrecking ball the government needs. It's 5 and 10 from Skywatch TV. 5 things you need to know in about 10 minutes for Friday, March 14th, 2025. I'm Derek Gilbert with our Friday 5, the 5 big items of the week as we head into the weekend. Story number 5 this week, of course, is Ukraine. We've been talking about whether or not there will be peace between Russia and Ukraine, or even just a ceasefire. Well, on Thursday, Russia's President Vladimir Putin issued new remarks, said that Russian forces are pushing back Ukrainian troops all across the battlefield, and especially now in Kursk. That's that region in southern Russia where Ukrainian forces invaded some months ago. Kind of a meaningless invasion, sort of their version of the Battle of the Bulge, a desperate last throw of the dice to try to convince Russia to come to the table and give up its claims on Ukrainian territory. Russian special forces have now cut off Ukrainian troops, and they did it in a really remarkable way. The natural gas pipeline that was carrying gas from Russia through Ukraine to Europe, which had been shut down months ago when Europe said, we're not buying any more natural gas from Russia, even though they really are. They're just buying it from the United States, who's buying it from India, who's buying it from Russia. So with 2 levels of markup, Europe is getting it from the same source, just paying more. Anyway, Ukraine's President Volodomyr Zelensky shut off the pipeline. So the Russian military said, okay, sucked out the gas, pumped in oxygen, built way stations for its soldiers along the route, restrooms, water and food. Russian special forces entered the pipe, reportedly walked and crawled 7 miles through this pipe, waited 4 days for the go signal, and then emerged from the pipeline behind Ukrainian forces, who are now basically being methodically eliminated. Putin has conveyed a list of objections to the proposal for a 30-day ceasefire, which Ukraine said they agreed to, but then Zelensky said, but we're not going to give up on our demand that Russia withdraw from all the territory that it's captured. Well, that's a non-starter for Russia. And Putin, according to Reuters, wants, and these demands have been conveyed to the U.S. government, they think that the 30-day ceasefire is essentially just essentially a timeout. Like a basketball coach whose team is getting beat badly calls time to reorganize. That's what Russia thinks is being asked for here. And since Russia is winning on the battlefield, there's little incentive for the Russians to agree to a 30-day ceasefire. They want a permanent ceasefire, and they're not going to give up the territory in the east or the Crimea that they have that they've taken from Ukraine. If this is the best that the Ukrainians are willing to agree to, a 30-day ceasefire, and Russia withdraws back to the pre-2014 borders, then the chances of true peace in Ukraine are actually pretty slim. By the way, Russia sent a message to Zelensky by hitting his hometown with missiles overnight Wednesday into Thursday. 1 woman killed, several others hurt. Again, message received, we think, or at least we hope, by President Zelensky. Topic number 4, Syria. More news this week about the ongoing violence, the sectarian violence in Syria. The death toll now put at more than 7,000. Christians and Alawites in the western part of the country being slaughtered. This is according to a Greek member of the European Parliament, Nicholas Farantouros. He's a member of the European Parliament's Committee on Security and Defense. He visited Damascus last week. That visit coincided with forces of the Turkish-backed Islamist regime massacring Alawites and Christians in the western part of the country. Farantouros also met with religious leaders, including the Greek Orthodox Patriarch John X of Antioch. Massacres over the past few days, the worst violence since the fall of Assad back in December. Interim President Ahmed al-Sharaa is apparently concerned by the outrage from the international community, and he has promised to hold accountable firmly and without leniency anyone who was involved in the bloodshed of civilians. And I guess we're supposed to believe him because now he's wearing a suit instead of military fatigues. Reuters reports that Syria's Foreign Minister Assad al-Shabani is supposed to go to Brussels Monday, where he's meeting with European donors for his country. Again, because they're now wearing suits, we're supposed to forget that this is an outgrowth of al-Qaeda. Topic number 3, Israel. Meanwhile, in the southern part of the country, Israel is sending aid to the Druze. Now, again, the Druze is a religious sect. These are Arabs, but they are neither Jewish nor Muslim nor Christian. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Gideon Sa'ar, has instructed the Foreign Ministry of Israel to send humanitarian aid, food packages to the Druze community in southern Syria. This is an area alongside the Golan Heights, but also around the mountain of the Druze, Jebel al-Druze, in the province of Suwaida, along the border with Jordan. 10,000 packages of humanitarian aid thus far delivered to Druze communities in southern Syria. This was conducted in coordination with the head of the Druze community, Sheikh Muafik Tarif, and the cooperation of the Druze Religious Council, the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, and others in the region. This includes oil, salt, flour, sugar, rice, basic staples. Most of the packages going to Suwaida, that area between Syria and Jordan. And again, just leading to more speculation that Israel and the Druze will create an autonomous Israeli Druze zone in southern Syria. But as we mentioned earlier this week, things complicated now by the Kurds in the eastern part of Syria signing an agreement to become part of the government with HTS in Damascus. The Kurds, traditionally allied with the Israelis, things are very much in flux in Syria as the map of the Middle East is being redrawn. Topic number 2, the budget. This has been ongoing this week, and we've just kind of been waiting to see what's going on here. Senate Democrats here in the United States mounted a last-ditch protest over a Republican-led government funding bill that was passed by the House on Wednesday, but it failed to put any limits on Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and their efforts to rein in government spending. Senate Democrats are under pressure to put a stop to DOGE. Democrats pushing a stopgap 30-day funding bill as an alternative to the 6-month continuing resolution passed the House, basically kicking the government budget down the road, kicking that can another 6 months down the road. The Trump administration asking for this to give the president and his team 6 months to get their funding priorities in line and to give DOGE more time to find where more can be cut. But Republicans hold a 53-47 majority in the Senate. Now, the way the Senate works is Democrats can declare, okay, we're going to filibuster. And this is not like the old movie Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, where the Senate actually has to have somebody there at the podium talking and filibustering, basically monopolizing the floor until he drops or they vote to stop it. And in the Senate, you've got to have 60 votes to put a stop to a filibuster. In the Senate, they just sort of a handshake deal. We're calling a filibuster. They don't actually have to stand there and read the phone book or whatever just to fill time. The Republicans don't have 60 votes, obviously, but Senate Republicans are not interested in the 30-day stopgap alternative. What is likely to happen by the time you've seen this is that senators will have voted down along partisan lines the Democrats' stopgap measure, which means then they would turn back to the House bill, which then kicks things down the road 6 months. But if Democrats decide to filibuster that, then we get a government shutdown by tonight, Friday night. Democrats probably not willing to take responsibility for shutting down the government, but that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. It would certainly give DOGE time to dig deeper into government files and figure out where money is being wasted. But here's the thing. Whatever DOGE does, as I told you yesterday, it really is small potatoes compared to the amount of money the government spends. At the rate DOGE is making cuts in the federal budget, it would take several hundred years to bring the budget back to balanced. As we told you, in February, the government spent more than twice as much money as it took in tax revenues. That is unsustainable. And that is even with DOGE going in and identifying absolutely ridiculous wastes of money. So if President Trump can somehow use all of this to figure out how to fulfill his promise made during his address to Congress that he's going to balance the budget by 2028, that would be the greatest accomplishment by an American president in at least 160 years, and perhaps since the beginning, the founding of this republic. Because we are headed towards a cliff, and at the bottom of that cliff is default. Coming up, goodbye, Rosie. Rosie O'Donnell says farewell. I'll explain next on 5 and 10.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can support the ministry of Skywatch TV and our continued efforts to share the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the four corners of the world and receive your very own copy of this urgent new work when you order the Tracking Toward Tribulation special offer. Not only does this incredible opportunity include Terry James' new book, Tracking Toward Tribulation and the Any Moment Intervention by Jesus Christ, but it also includes Terry's best-selling book, Lawless, End Times War Against the Spirit of Antichrist. This book reveals how the spiritual forces behind global chaos and demonic rage are signs of Christ's imminent return. But that's not all. Right now, this special offer also includes Unraveling Revelation, The Four Horsemen on DVD featuring Derek and Sharon Gilbert. This incredible DVD uncovers the biblical truth behind the riders of the apocalypse, the chariots of Zechariah, the Watchers, Babylon, Hermes, Hades, and even death itself. Sold separately, these items hold a retail value of over $80. Yours now for your donation of only $45, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. You can also visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the Tracking Toward Tribulation special offer right now.
Item number one today, Rosie O'Donnell has left the building. In fact, she's left the country. She revealed on her TikTok account earlier this week that she moved to Ireland on January 15th, 5 days before President Trump was sworn into office, making good on her promise to leave the country if Donald Trump was elected president again. Now, to the best of my knowledge, she's the first celebrity to actually make good on that threat. We heard it in 2016. We heard it again in the last election cycle. Rosie has actually made good on this promise. Okay. Well, she's making good. She is living up to what she says she believes, and good for her for that. Now, this is my fourth take on this particular story because I'm trying not to be snarky or hateful here. Our Lord said we are to love our enemies, to turn the other cheek. I don't consider her an enemy. I don't consider the progressives who march in the streets enemies. But social media and the divide between left and right, that's exacerbated by that camera there or by the screen that is between us, makes it all too easy to project hatred, to project anger to those who disagree with us. I've already, far too often in my life, made myself a stumbling block between those who need the gospel of Jesus Christ and and Jesus himself. They look at me, they see anger, they assume that's coming from him. That's not the case. My failures are not his failures. And so, while Rosie has left the country, pray for her, pray for those who share her worldview, and then also pray that we are given words to speak when the opportunity presents, that we represent our King in a positive light. This week on Skywatch TV, we're talking with end times expert Terry James. He's the editor of a new book called Tracking Toward Tribulation, and specifically focusing on an essay by Donna Howell on the state of faith in the Christian church today. The church in the West, has it become, for all intents and purposes, a cult? Harsh words. Don't miss this program. You can watch it right now over the air. Our broadcast schedule is posted at skywatchtv.com/channels. You can also watch it on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, or Apple TV. If you've got the Skywatch TV channel installed, go to their app store, look for Skywatch TV, install it on your and all of our video content comes right to your big screen. You can watch us on the internet, youtube.com/@Skywatch Television. Subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, hit that like button. Also, rumble.com/Skywatch TV, or bring it right into your smartphone or tablet, whether it's iOS, Android, or Amazon Kindle Fire. We've got apps for all of those. It's free, and we have links to their app stores at skywatchtv.com/app. 5 in 10 is online. We're at YouTube, youtube.com/@5 in 10, and on X at 5_in_10. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. Have a blessed weekend. I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.